Hello, my name is Patricia Wyrick, and I am the Rural Forestry Program Coordinator for South Dakota Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources. We are very appreciative to all of our presenters that we have today talking about the available projects for forested landowners in South Dakota. Today's workshop will be recorded with the recordings being placed on the Department of Ag and Natural Resources YouTube channel for public viewing once reviewed and approved by our technical support team. Our office is an equal opportunity provider and wants to encourage participation. However, if you do not want to be part of the live recording, an email when the recordings are uploaded will be sent to everyone who registered for this webinar. All microphones and videos have been turned off, and due to bandwidth concerns, we request that they stay off during the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will be taking questions. All questions can be placed in the chat box, or you can raise your hand to be allowed to your turn for the microphone. Today, we are going to have speakers from the South Dakota Game Fish and Parks, the South Dakota Public Safety Wildland Fire Division, the USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service, local conservation districts and their opportunities, South Dakota Family Forest Association, and the South Dakota Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources. With that, our first presenter is Ben Puckett, and he is with South Dakota Game Fish and Parks. Go ahead and share your screen, Ben.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm gonna pull up a new slide here, and we'll see if we can. All right, can everybody see that there?
We can see all your slides.
Okay. I'll begin this and we'll get started. So today I'm going to talk about South Dakota Game Fish and Parks Hardwood Release Program. This program just got started last year, and we've just started signing up landowners in 2024, and we're now starting signups for 2025. So if anybody's interested in the program and needs to get in touch with us, can either reach myself or Tom Miklos. We're the two biologists that cover the Black Hills, and you'd be working with either one of us. So this program was designed for the Black Hills. We saw a need where there was kind of a little bit of a gap in between programs where thinning and fencing programs around deciduous trees was not really much of an option, or there was kind of not really an opportunity. So we decided as an agency that we would like to focus on those deciduous trees. Historically, the Black Hills fire return interval was between 14 to 30 years, depending on if you were in the northern hills or moving further south. Hardwoods are generally slow growing, and conifers will basically crowd them out. Aspen, birch, and oak relied heavily on fire to spark regeneration and to suppress those coniferous species, so those pine species. Aspen use root suckers to clone themselves, so they send out all these little suckers that then sprout out and become trees themselves. Clones in the Black Hills are thought to be between 8,000 to 9,000 years old. So if you lose one of those clones, so if you lose an aspen stand, you basically lose its own distinct distinct diversity. So the more clones that you have in an area, the more diversity in those aspen groves that you get. And so that will help with the resistance of diseases and the ability for aspens to continue to grow in the Black Hills. So these two photos below are from Castle Creek. One was taken in 1874. The one taken on the right was in 1974. I couldn't find an updated photo of this particular spot. I'd like to go out there and see what it is like there now. But if you look at the 1974 picture, you can see that the Castle Creek riparian area is much drier. The aspen grove on the right side of the picture um, in the 1874 photo is gone. I've been to that location. You really you can't tell that there was even an aspen grove there at one point. And those coniferous trees has basically crowded out a lot of the deciduous growth and has worked into that riparian area. There's a lot less willow in that riparian area as well. So this is kind of a photo of what it looks like underneath those dense stands of pine. You get a heavy layer of pine duff from the needles dropping, and those needles suppress growth of pretty much everything else. They suppress growth of all your grass and forb species, but also your other deciduous tree species. And when you get these thick groves of pine, aspen, oak, birch really can't compete with those species and eventually get crowded out. So this would be right next to the photo taken of where there's a current aspen grove. Um, this area had been burned in the last 15 years. So there was a pretty good stand of young aspen starting to grow. And then you could see underneath there's just a lot more of a grass and forb component. There's a lot more of an understory, and that is beneficial to wildlife and livestock. And you get a lot more diversity and the ability for wildlife to thrive in there. So what tends to happen with these aspen groves is two things. Either they get encroached by pine and spruce, or else they eventually die out because the clone itself is always producing suckers trying to expand that grove. And when you get heavy browse, either via wildlife or cattle or livestock. Um, it basically reduces the clone's ability to shoot up new suckers, and eventually it depletes it so much that disease sets in, and you get basically a monoculture of the same height as and age species or the age profile in these aspen groves, as you can see by this photo. It's all pretty much all mature aspen trees, and if they're not allowed to sucker and regrow, then these aspens will eventually die out, and you'll lose the clone there. So we do have a program that helps with kind of fencing out those areas to protect them from wildlife such as elk or deer or livestock as well. So that's just another picture of that aspen grove, and seeing that there's basically no other age class in there. And along there you can see that the ground has been grazed heavily, and there's really no chance for those small suckers to get going. Um, Aspen groves and deciduous tree growth in the Black Hills is very important to wildlife. Hardwoods provide winter browsing and have a more open canopy, resulting in increased forage production compared to a dense pine canopy. Forage production has been shown to be more important to winter survival in deer and elk populations compared to thermal cover. So your thermal cover, like those dense pine stands, um, provide great thermal cover for deer and elk, but if they don't add basically any sort of nutrition, so if you don't have any sort of food source, basically those deer and elk can starve. in that thick pine stand. They need, all the grasses and forbs and browsing components that deciduous areas and meadows open up and are available to them. So that's why Game and Fish is really involved in this program. And this project was just done this past year, and this would have just been, I believe, an acre clearing, and this is of an bur oak stand. You can see one of the bur oak that's flagged here, and that bur oak is, there's several other small bur oaks scattered throughout there. All right, so our program overview, basically the program assists landowners by providing cost share for tree thinning projects surrounding hardwood groves. The program also provides cost share for fencing around hardwood groves that are susceptible to repeated browsing by wildlife or livestock. Landowners can be reimbursed up to 75% of the cost, up to $600 an acre with a maximum cap of $15,000 per year. And landowners can get reimbursed up to $1,000 for fence construction around those groves or those hardwood stands. We are currently um, looking at upping that amount. So when the new numbers come out, I'll disseminate that information. But we're looking at substantially increasing that, probably to the $5,000 to $7,000 range. And that's the hardwood enhancement program in a nutshell.
Thank you, Ben. Our next presenter is Logan Brown with South Dakota Wildland Fire and their Urban Interface program. Do you want to go ahead and share your screen there, Logan?
All right, looks like you can see all that. See the screen all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Logan Brown. I am the Fields Program Manager for South Dakota Wildland Fire, and we're going to talk a little bit about our 8% cost share program we have available for landowners. So kind of the primary objective of our program is when there's a wildfire, we're trying to make sure that it burns around the houses and we can help save houses, reduce risk to houses, reduce suppression risk to firefighters. So to do that, we kind of look at the concept of the home ignition zone. Over 90% of the homes that are lost in wildfire tend to be in this due to this immediate zone, which is kind of the house itself and then the landscaping. Unfortunately, there's very limited funds available to treat this area as far as retrofitting houses with the appropriate building materials. However, what we do have, what there is funding out there for, is for manipulating the fuels kind of around the home. So when a fire does burn into the home area, you can manipulate the fuels to reduce the fire intensity to help protect that home. So our 80% cost share program is hold on. Looking at chat, sounds like not everyone can see this.
Yes, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I can see it just fine, Patricia.
I think maybe Logan, go ahead and keep going and we'll try to get the recording to those that can't see the slides or a copy of the slides.
Okay, perfect. So we do have funding for this program for Lawrence, Meade, Pennington, Custer, and Fall River counties. We have participating landowners have to get 3 bids. We can reimburse 80% of the lowest bid, not to exceed a maximum reimbursement rate of $1,200 per acre. And then we can treat half an acre up to 10 acres around homes and structures. The general prescription we're looking at is the thinning of ponderosa pine, spruce, cedar, or junipers, 10 inches in diameter and smaller to create a 25-foot tree spacing. The spruces, if you have a heavy spruce stand or component on your property, we do clump those together. So it'll be a cluster of spruce trees with 25 feet between the clusters. Remaining trees are limbed up to remove ladder fuels. And then any dead and down debris in the area will also be treated. Because we are trying to reduce the amount of fuels that are available to burn, all the slash needs to be taken care of and removed of throughout this program. Some of these methods include piling and burning it, chipping it, mastication, or just full removal and having that material hauled off site. Here's kind of a picture of an area where, hasn't been treated yet. It's kind of eligible for treatment, pretty thick with a lot of ladder fuels in there. And then this is a project we did where it was thinned and stacked and ready to be burned when the winter conditions allow. What is not eligible in our program is select tree removal, slash disposal, timber sales, clear cutting, kind of anything that's not creating or enhancing survivable space. Again, our primary goal is reducing the wildfire risk to homes. Steps for landowners, if they're interested, they need to contact us. We will send somebody out there to inspect the property and make sure it's eligible for our program. If they are eligible, they are responsible for getting 3 bids, then submit a 1-page request for cost share form. We look at the bids, assign a reimbursement rate, let the landowner know they're approved. And then from there, the landowner and the contractor enter into agreement. Once the work's been done, they let us know. We go out and inspect it and make sure it's meeting our prescription. If it does, we let the landlord know they can pay the contractor, and then we just get a receipt, and then we can process the reimbursement at that point. After the landlord is reimbursed, there is a 10-year maintenance agreement with this program, so they have to maintain the treatment for 10 years after completion. So we do have 4 staff that help me with this. In the Northern Hills, we have Jordan Harrington. Here in the Central Hills, so Pennington County, along with Southern Meade County, we have Brittany Seidel and Adam Fritz. Then Custer and Fall River County, the point of contact down there is Lane Austinson. All their contact information is right here in this slide. And I know that's a really brief overview, but here's my information as well if you have any more questions. But that is our 8% cost share program. Thank you.
Thank you, Logan. Feel free to put your questions in the chat or in the Q&A, but next we have Laura Bosworth with the United States Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources.
Thank you. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Oh, okay.
Never know how this technology
Yes.
can work. Okay, so hi, I am Laura Bosworth, and I'm the State Conservation Forester here in South Dakota. And today I'll be providing you an overview of USDA programs that can help forest landowners like you improve your land's health, productivity, and resilience. The main programs I'm going to focus on are the ones that are most relevant and commonly used here in South Dakota. The first one is going to be the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. We commonly call this EQIP. And the second one is going to be our Conservation Stewardship Program, or CSP. And the last one is going to be our Agricultural Conservation Easement Program, ACEP. We love acronyms. So all of these programs aim to address resource concerns, whether those are improving your forest health, reducing the risk of wildfire, or supporting wildlife habitat. So I have a couple of our commonly used conservation practices. The first one is forest stand improvement. And what this does is it manages your forest through the removal of trees of all sizes. We do not have a minimum or a maximum for diameter or acreage with this program. For us, it's all about addressing the resource concern. Was there a resource concern beforehand? Is there a resource concern when it's over? Next, we have our woody residue treatment. This focuses on reducing those existing or activity slash or the woody surface material. We do this either through mechanical means such as mastication or piling or hand piling, or even just taking that slash depth and making it even lower than the state requirements. We also put in fuel breaks. Our fuel breaks combine the activities of tree thinning, slash treatment, and pruning, and they put those all on the same piece of land. And they are designed to change fire behavior to help protect the values at risk. The last one we use kind of often is brush management. This focuses on the removal of woody species in their entirety from grasslands or meadows. So now I'll kind of talk a little bit about our programs. So the first program we have is EQIP, and this is by far our most common program that we use for forests in South Dakota on private lands. This program provides financial and technical assistance to adopt these conservation practice standards and to address resource concerns, but they are on an individual land unit basis. So EQIP will pay for individual practices on an individual practice basis, but you can't have multiple practices in the same contract. Our cost sharing are offered at flat rates, and they are paid upon completion and inspection of your practice. And our contracts are typically from 1 to 5 years. These practices that are done under EQIP do have to meet the NRCS standards and specifications, which your district conservationist will make sure that is happening. And then the eligible lands, we can put EQIP on private lands, on leased lands, and even on leased Forest Service lands or other public lands. And this is a competitive program, so you apply and you are ranked. Next, we have our conservation stewardship program. CSP is our second most used program in the state. It operates differently from EQIP. CSP looks at the entire operation instead of focusing in on an individual land unit. So with CSP, you get a base payment on a per acre basis for your existing conservation activities for your land that has applied practices. And then you go ahead and you start putting enhancements. So then you get paid for additional conservation enhancements on that land. Our common enhancements are reducing forest stand density to create open stand structure, reducing the height of the forest understory to limit wildfire risk, and forest management to enhance understory vegetation. This is a contract for 5 years, so you'll get that base payment for 5 years. So we usually tell people that CSP is for those who have already invested in conservation and are ready to take their stewardship levels to their stewardship efforts to the next level. Our next program is the agricultural easement program, and I'm not totally familiar with this program. I haven't worked with it often. This is an easement program that focuses on the long-term production and restoration of land through conservation easements. There are two key components: your agricultural land easement, which focuses on conserving working lands, and the wetland reserve easement, which is designed to restore and protect wetlands. With this program, a third party will apply for the easement, and the NRCS may contribute up to 50% of the fair market value for that easement, and then the third party will hold that easement. Through the agricultural land easement, this is intended that these lands are still worked, so they can still be grazed or harvested, even though they're under this easement. We currently have a few of these kind of easements in South Dakota, and there are more that are being worked on. With that, I'd like to just thank you guys for listening to me talk about programs. If you guys have any questions, here's my information, or you could just go into your local NRCS office and they will know more than I.
Thank you, Laura. What we have next is the conservation districts. And with that, let me share my screen real quick. So in the state of South Dakota, there's conservation districts throughout the entire state. And first up with a program is Custer County Conservation District. Baldwin, would you like to unmic?
Sure. Thank you. This is Mike Baldwin. I'm the district manager for the Custer Conservation District. We've had a forestry program dating back to about 2014, with the primary goal of improving forest health by making them more resilient to insect outbreaks and with the added benefit of reduced wildfire risk. We provide cost share for non-commercial or pre-commercial thinning. Generally, we're talking about trees less than 9 inches in diameter. It's a 50-50 cost share grant that we offer with, if the landowner does thinning only, we can pay up to $750 per acre. If they also do slash removal, we can pay an additional maximum of $150 an acre. So altogether, you could get up to $900 per acre if both practices are used. I'd be remiss to say, if I forgot to say, we are very grateful and depend on foresters with the State Department of Ag and Natural Resources. They work with us closely, and the landowners getting projects started. They go out and write the prescription, and when the work's done, they go back and make sure everything was done according to the plan. Landowners are free to work with a contractor of their choice, or they can do the work themselves at a flat rate determined by the State Conservation Commission. All work is paid for in advance by the landowner, and then reimbursement is submitted after completion. Let's see. Generally, we fund projects between 5 to 20 acres. There is some leeway with our district. We've done less than 5, and we've done up to 50 acres a few times, but other districts might have different rules regarding that. I'd say if you're interested, talk to your district, find out what's available and what their restrictions are.
Custer County Conservation District boundary is?
Custer County.
Yes.
Yeah, most of the districts follow county boundaries, but there are exceptions, including in the hills. Pennington's broken up between a couple, Meade County's broken up between a couple. So if you need help finding who your contact is, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you make that contact.
So with that being said, Lawrence Conservation District representative was not available today. They have a similar program to Custer County Conservation District. Their goals are the same with the same percentage rate, and the price reimbursement, I believe, is set at the same. However, you would have to talk to the local DC to confirm that. And you can always talk to the state foresters to get the process started. They do have applications that are available online, or you can talk to a state forester and we will get you applications. Pennington Conservation District also has a program. All of these programs do currently have funding in them and availability for anyone who would like to participate. Pennington Conservation District is unique for the fact that it covers not only the location of the Pennington Conservation District, which is the west half of Pennington County, but they also have an agreement with Elk Creek Conservation District, which is a conservation district that runs along I-90 in Meade County. So if you're located in Meade County or Pennington County, you can apply for the Pennington Conservation District. Elk Creek does not have a thinning program on its own. That's why it is partnered with the Pennington Conservation District. Fall River, as of January of 2025, now is also offering the same program. As stated before, they do work very heavily with the Department of Ag and Natural Resources foresters. So you can either reach out to the district or you can reach out to the local area forester. I do believe we are joined with Mary LaHood, who is the executive director for the South Dakota Family Forest Association, and they have a couple programs.
Yes, thank you, Patricia. I'm Mary LaHood. I'm the Executive Director of South Dakota Family Forest Association. We are a branch of the American Tree Farm System and the American Forest Foundation. We operate independently, however, but adhere to their high standards. We're an organization of private forest landowners, and our objective is to promote good stewardship, good forest stewardship, and active management. And to that end, we look to improve water and healthy forests that are resistant to bug and fire, and productive forests that bring about forest products. We do this also by providing educational opportunities, tree farm tours, and once a year we have a landowner appreciation event. We also do a workshop every few years for the tax assessors, and that has been very helpful for our landowners and for tax assessors, and the understanding of what it means to operate a tree farm. So, Patricia, I'm going to start with that second slide, if you don't mind. And I want to talk about our Forest Stewardship Plan Development Grant. And the reason I want to start there is the requirement to be in SDFFA is a minimum of 10 acres and a forest stewardship plan. And to assist people in getting that forest stewardship plan, we have a cost share grant. What is required for that is a minimum of 40 acres. And there is a formula there that you can see. The cost share rate is $1,250 for the first 40 acres, and then an additional $10 per acre after that, not to exceed 75% of the plan preparation cost, with a cap of $3,250 per plan. We ask that before you engage a forester, that you apply. You simply contact me. That's the easiest way, and I can get you an application. I can be contacted at sdtreefarm@gmail.com. It's a very simple process, and very rewarding for landowners to engage a forester, visit with them, create a plan that's based on their own objectives. No one is dictating to you what to do, and also based on your property and its unique attributes. Another thing that is listed there that is a benefit of our program is that every 5 years you're visited by a professional forester and have an opportunity to talk with them. They are inspecting to see if you're meeting the standards that we have created, and assisting you in any way that you need. The next one, which is the previous slide, thank you, Patricia, is our most recent IRA Forest Resiliency Grant. That we just received this grant at the end of the year, and it is an 80% cost share grant for forest thinning, for health and resiliency. We will be working closely with Department of Ag and Natural Resources. They are assisting us, providing technical assistance for us with that. That we really appreciate.
Want to reach out to you on this marshmallow job?
I'm sorry, I heard some
The
talking.
slide
I will
on the
keep going.
Yep. The slide here, there is one thing that is incorrect, and I apologize. It does not apply to removing encroaching foresters from meadows and improving diversity for forage production. That has been removed, and I apologize for not updating the slide.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, Patricia. The requirements for this is that you must be a member of SGFFA. All of our members received applications, and as people enter our organization, they will receive an application and the opportunity to apply for this also. As I mentioned, it's an 80% cost share, not to exceed 1,600 an acre. And that is if the landowner is engaging a professional contractor. If they are wanting to do the work themselves, it is a rate of $1,040 per acre. We encourage landowners to we encourage landowners to apply, and we will be processing applications through the spring, and you would be visited by Danner Forester before the award. I'm sorry, Patricia.
Nope, you're good.
Oh, okay. All right. I think that is it for that.
Thank you very much, Mary. And yes, just like the conservation districts, South Dakota Family Forest Association and the State Department of Ag and Natural Resource Forestry Division are working on achieving forest health goals. So with that, I did have a presenter fall sick, so I will help out. But the South Dakota Department of Ag and Natural Resources watershed team has 2 programs also that are now statewide programs and are available to be talked about. One of them is called the Seasonal Riparian Management Area. This goes out to 100-year floodplains, and it is to take riparian areas that are in poor health and help to encourage them to get better and better management. Currently, SRAM is what it is called, is available for the Belle Fourche watershed. Belle Fourche watershed includes all of the water systems that flow into the Belle Fourche. So for example, you might be located on Whitewood Creek, which does flow into the Belle Fourche. So that could be an area in which if you wanted to talk about. They allow for some flexible use of the riparian area during the off season, during the late fall and winter months. And it is allowed to be hayed, but it must maintain 6 inches of cover. Additionally, another program is the Riparian Buffer Initiative, also known as RBI. It has a minimum buffer width of 50 feet from an ordinary high water mark. It can only go out to a maximum of 120 feet. Vegetation may not be harvested or mowed between May and August, with vegetation not being able to be grazed between May 1st and September 30th. So if you have cattle, they would have to have alternative water sources available, and that is their time frames to be able to do that. Both programs have a requirement that the area must be enrolled for 10 years under a contract. But with that 10-year contract, there are landowner payments. I do not have specific information on what those payments are, but at the end of this, I do have a slide with most of the presenters' information, and you can contact Nathan Anderson at the Department of Ag and Natural Resources, Rapid City One Stop office. So with that, South Dakota Department of Ag and Natural Resources Resource Conservation Forestry position. We have a grant as well. Our grant is for Forest Stewardship Plan developments. Forest Stewardship Plan Development Program is to allow landowners the opportunity to hire a private professional forester or a professional forester to create a management plan intended to typically be 10 years. The minimum acreage to receive the cost share is 20 acres of forest land. And it says a minimum of 40 acres total. The cost share rate will be $500 an acre for the first 40 acres. I do know that it could be less than 40, but that is under review each time we have those applications. The cost share rate currently is set at $2.50 per acre for each additional acre, not to exceed 50% of the plan preparation cost, with a cap of $1,500 per plan. Any forest stewardship plan that is created gets placed into the South Dakota Resource Conservation and Forestry Monitoring System, and that system has a random inspection once every decade. Sometimes we have some landowners that get pulled multiple years, and other times we have people that don't get pulled at all. It is based on a computer algorithm. For more information, the South Dakota Department of Ag and Natural Resource Forest Stewardship Program does have that information available, or you can give myself a call. So for Department of Ag and Natural Resources other information, we have a register of private professional foresters. It's available on our splash page, under the wood utilization page, and also under the forest stewardship page, that assists with creation of forest stewardship plans, along with many other items. For forest health updates, our forest health team has a forest health page along with a wood utilization page with contractor information on it. We have a South Dakota Log Finder website. What that is made for is made for small producers and small contractors to be able to sell their wood directly and talk directly with contractor. It is a free service. You do have to register to get the notifications or be able to post online. However, that is a free service for any landowners within the state of South Dakota. And this is the contact information for everyone who has talked or has had a program so far. With that, I am going to stop the recording, and then we will start answering questions.